You're listening to Creating a Universe, a Love Anarchy podcast hosted by William J. Rogers. On this show, we follow the journey of creatives, artists, and entrepreneurs who are making a name for themselves in the ever-evolving landscape of today's industry. Featuring an insight into both Love Anarchy and the LovAnaverse Music Universe, as well as the individual projects and stories of each of our guests, from the music industry and beyond. So whether you're a budding creative or simply interested in what goes on behind the scenes, this is the podcast for you. Hello and welcome to Creating a Universe. I'm your host, William J. Rogers, and today I'm going to be doing a solo episode so I can tell you about some very cool updates happening within the LovAnaverse Music Universe. Let's get into it. So to start off, let me give you some context about the LovAnaverse. The LovAnaverse is a music universe, which is something I completely made up. But essentially, you can think of it like the Marvel universe, but with rock stars instead of superheroes. So we have this record label, and the label is going to be full of all of these different fictional artists. So they're all made up of characters that are from within the universe, and they all each have their own unique style musically, and of course their own story to tell within the wider lore of the universe. In terms of what we've done so far, we have two main established artists. There's Yarimā, and the character of Yarimā is like a sort of dark elf samurai kind of vibe. And so in order to reflect that, the music is like a very kind of melodic, folky, sort of accessible kind of fantasy metal. But the unique thing about it is that it's blended with traditional Japanese instruments, namely the koto and the shamisen. And that just kind of gives it this unique sound that reflects, you know, the otherworldly qualities of this artist and the character. The other main artist is Flavour Nurse. And Flavour Nurse is essentially like an arena rock band of, I suppose we'd say, like elven wizards. And Flavour Nurse released a debut album in November 2021. And slightly before that, Yarimā released a debut album in April 2021. Prior to that, Yarimā also released an EP. So those are the main ones that we've released so far. We've also teased a third project called Black Tongue Bile, which, although there's no like official releases out for it, you may have seen things on our websites and stuff. It's very outlandish, very over the top. The first album for that is a death metal space opera, as we call it. So it's like a hour-long opera that I composed, and it's very over the top, very kind of silly in a way. If you've ever heard, or if you're a fan of Metalocalypse, or like Death Clock was the band from Metalocalypse, then yeah, you're gonna love Black Tongue Bile. I mean, I've mentioned before, Metalocalypse was hugely influential to us, so Black Tongue Bile in a way is kind of like our nod to Metalocalypse and Death Clock. So there's those three artists, Yarimā, Flavour Nurse, and the upcoming Black Tongue Bile. But here's your first big announcement from this episode. From this Friday, the 22nd of July, we're going to begin the campaign for a brand new artist. Now, this is an artist that has never been seen before. Nobody knows anything about this artist, but we have been working on it for quite some time. And I must say that I'm particularly proud of this project and very excited for its release. The collaborator who we're working with on this project is really just one of the most talented people that I have ever come across. I don't want to give too much away about the project. You're going to have to wait to see. But it's an incredibly talented vocalist that we're working with. And between the two of us, we created an incredible song, in my humble opinion, for this new character. Now, this new character, with it, kind of brings a new era. And what do I mean by that? Well, the way we've done things so far, we've had to do it piece by piece. We had this artist, Flavour Nurse, which, came along from its own trajectory. And Yarimā, which we sort of established by itself. And we've always mentioned the LovAnaverse and that there was this bigger picture to what we were doing. But it hasn't really been there in a full picture until now. And I have taken a big initiative within the last few months in particular to really work about tying the brand together for this, so we can really present to you the LovAnaverse Music Universe as a whole. How have we gone about doing that? Well, there's a couple of big updates happening. The first of which is a complete rebranding of our look. In particular, the look of the characters. Now, I'm going to go into a bit more of a backstory about this to give you some context. I reached out to a few people that I've been fortunate to work with recently, who have been helping me carve the vision and create the plans for the LovAnaverse Music Universe, so ultimately we can deliver the best possible experience. And one of the people that I've taken on as a mentor is Lindsay Schoolcraft. Now, if you're in any way familiar with the independent metal music scene, then I'm sure that you'll know Lindsay. But for anybody that doesn't, she's a gothic metal artist. She's done phenomenally well as an independent artist with direct fan marketing. But I mean, Lindsay has also kind of been there and done that with everything. For a long time, she was in Cradle of Filth, which is a huge extreme metal band. I mean, perhaps one of the most successful extreme metal bands of all time. We also both kind of studied together with the Savvy Musician Academy, which is essentially like a music marketing school run by Leah McHenry, which is fantastic. So not only does Lindsay make great music and do such great work as an independent artist, she also does a lot within the community, and she's very business-minded in that way. And so to get to speak to Lindsay was a very significant experience, I think, for me. It definitely really helped shift some gears, and from discussing things with Lindsay, it helped get the wheels turning in multiple facets. And the big one here that I'll pull it back around to talk about is the visual component to the LovAnaverse. Lindsay said to me that she loves the idea, but when she thinks about a music universe, she thinks, what does that look like? And the main things that come to mind are either the kind of comic book style, Marvel Universe, DC, etc., or perhaps, something in the more kind of World of Warcraft, Magic the Gathering kind of direction. And ultimately what that means is artwork, illustrated characters, that invoke that kind of fantastical, kind of otherworldly view. And to be honest, that's something that I've always wanted to do. I've always wanted to move in that direction. And if you've seen our work thus far, you'll know that up until this point, we've leaned really mostly on photography and just creative photo edits from there. This, of course, comes from the trajectory where obviously this all started with Flavour Nurse being just like a normal band, essentially, and we would dress up as these characters and perform shows. And so everything we've done so far has been like us dressed as the characters with some creative photo edits and stuff to make it look a bit more otherworldly. I always had it in mind to, move into a more illustrated sphere, or perhaps with animation, things like that. But it always seemed a little bit out of reach. We've always been very low budget, trying to kind of do things very DIY. But talking it through with Lindsay, we worked out a plan to make this happen and move into a different style. So I put out some adverts in regards to hiring a visual artist for the LovAnaverse. And I must say, I was overwhelmed by how many responses we got. We really had an absolute ton of incredibly talented artists reach out to us and say that they wanted to work on this project. Eventually, we whittled it down to a short list, and I was having conversations with a bunch of really phenomenally talented artists, mostly within this kind of fantasy, sci-fi, original character kind of art. And we eventually settled with an Indonesian artist called Wenart Gunardi. Wenart has been working on some fantastic designs for these characters, and I am so excited to share these with you. Over the next few weeks, we're going to be rolling all of this out, and the LovAnaverse is going to be rebranded in this signature illustrated art style that's really going to invoke a music universe. So, just to recap, there's a brand new LovAnaverse artist coming very, very soon. The campaign begins this Friday, 22nd of July, and with this character is going to be your first view of our new signature illustrated art style. So, what else is there? There's another big thing that I want to tell you about, and that is in regards to the full package of LovAnaverse, and the lore, the universe, the music. Up until now, it's been a little bit fragmented. Again, we've had to build things in separate components in a way, each artist kind of individually. We have the LovAnaverse social media channels, especially the Instagram, which has been very popular. And the Instagram mostly shares artwork and, puts that to our LovAnaverse lore. And people really enjoy that. But as I say, it's a little scattered. We have the lore over there and we have the artists over there. And for me, for a long time, I've been aspiring to something else that will really kind of tie these things together and offer a proper experience. The way that we've decided to do that going forward is by putting a lot more focus on video content. That means the LovAnaverse YouTube channel is going to become a focal point. And the videos that we make are going to be broken down into reels that will be all over social media. So what kind of videos are we making? Well, if you've ever been on our website before, LovAnaverse.com, you'll know we have an absolute ton of lore. And the way that it works currently is that you can browse around all of the different components to our universe, and you can find, say, this planet and click on it and read all about it. Now, whilst I hope some people enjoy doing that, this is ultimately not the full immersive experience that we want to be able to offer. And so now, as well as the lore entries on the website, we're going to be making LovAnaverse lore videos. Now, the videos are going to be a lot more interesting because they're going to combine all of the lore, which will therefore be shared with all of the magnificent artwork and illustration and narrated with an overdub that tells the story. But it's also, of course, going to merge that with the music. And now for me as a composer, that's very exciting because whilst, of course, a big part of my ambition with all of this is to compose music for the artists, i.e. the actual songs that these artists perform. It's always been another ambition of mine to really compose the music of the universe itself, and therefore all the different themes for the different worlds and the species and civilizations and such. Now, that's an exciting prospect for me. And to be able to compose this music and set it to wonderful imagery with an overdub, epic kind of voice of God narration that tells you about the universe, that's a little bit more of a compelling experience, I think. Now, for the most part, these videos are going to be quite short, and we're going to organize everything in a way so it is very easily consumable. And you'll go to our YouTube channel and there'll be different playlists that you can just view through. And if you watch that, that's going to immerse you within the universe. It's going to tell you the relevant stories that surround a certain character or an artist. And then it's going to tell you about the artist in this same fashion with, the background story for this artist. And then, of course, it's going to deliver you the music of the artist, and again, more focus here with the videos. We're going to be having more music videos, lyric videos, and visualizers that make everything a lot more interesting. So, as I say, the LovAnaverse YouTube channel is going to be a much hotter place to be. So make sure you go and subscribe there. Of course, we're also going to be putting those videos and embedding them on the website to enhance the overall experience there. We'll also, as I mentioned, be cutting all of those videos into clips so our social media is more engaging in that way, and you're able to really kind of get a more coherent version of the stories. And ultimately, it's just going to tie this music universe together. As well as all the LovAnaverse content, we're also going to be doing more on the Love Anarchy side to enhance the LovAnaverse experience. And that means more content, especially again focused on video, that will include breakdowns of songs, as in behind the process of us creating those songs, views into the production and the DAW session, talking about writing the lyrics. And, not just me, but of course, all of the collaborators that come on are going to be involved in that. As well, we're going to be doing studio music videos, where you get to see the real people behind the characters who are performing the music. Again, just a more immersive experience, behind the scenes. And of course, on this podcast, we'll be having collaborators on to discuss creating those projects. Whilst I can't tell you yet who it is, I can tell you that the next episode of this podcast in 2 weeks will feature the collaborator behind our brand new artist. And that means that in 2 weeks' time, all will have been revealed. So lastly, I just wanted to bring it back round to that recurring theme that I always talk about, which is community. Now, I am committed to growing and nurturing a wonderful community for Love Anarchy and ultimately the LovAnaverse. I'm really grateful to people that have joined us so far and those that have really got involved in what we're doing. But I really want to be able to enhance this experience and deliver a lot more value. And I'm always working on ways to do this. I think that ultimately with this rebrand and this new era for LovAnaverse, by really defining what this LovAnaverse Music Universe is, we can really create a more valuable community around it. Now, just know that this is something that I am always thinking about, that I am always looking to enhance, and I'm always interested to hear what you think. I would love to hear your thoughts about what you would like from a community, what you would like from Love Anarchy and LovAnaverse in general, and from me. And I'm always really happy to receive your messages, whether you DM me on Instagram or you speak to us in the Discord, or send me an email. But however it is, it's all about making real connections with real people, and delivering value on those connections is the forefront of my focus right now. So know that a lot is going to be done within this rebrand to enhance the community experience. And so with all that out of the way, I thought I would just give you a little bit of an update on things within my personal life. And over the last few months in particular, I've really been working especially hard. Now, anybody that knows me knows that I'm always working hard and have been for a long time. But I suppose I have put a lot more focus on working smart, I suppose we should say. And really working on myself. I think that I can really say this for any artist or anybody that's looking to improve their quality of life, really, or achieve goals, your mindset and the way you set yourself up and live your life on a daily basis is so significant. And I think it's very easy in a way to overlook. I mean, for instance, I've always been very slim. I don't really put on weight and such. And so I've never necessarily had a huge incentive to exercise much. I mean, I've gone through phases. I always kind of go on and off between, exercising regularly, normally running, and, not at all. And I certainly had a long phase where I wasn't doing that at all. But I realized things like that are very significant for your overall daily kind of energy and the mindset that you have. And so by integrating more positive habits within my day-to-day life, I'm able to get a lot more done. And I must admit that over, especially the last few months, it's something I've been working on for a long time, but the last few months, things have really started to kind of click into place, I feel. They are going well, at least. It's always an ongoing battle and trajectory, but I thought to share some of this with you because, so here's some of the things that I'm doing. My day at the moment, it kind of goes something like this. I wake up early. I meditate and I go for a run. And I come back and I have a cold shower. And then I clean up the kitchen and make sure all the dishes are clean and everything, hopefully, ideally, before my wife and my baby boy get up. That means that, the morning is won. If I can achieve these things, then I'm off to a good start with positive habits, ultimately. Now, of course, on a regular basis, there's this resistance of, maybe not wanting to do it that day, not wanting to get up, not wanting to run. But if anything, for me, that's the most important part. It's not really just about the burning of calories or whatever in the exercise. It's about the fact that I've overcome this obstacle in my mind. I have beaten resistance right at the beginning of the day. And the compound effect that this has when you do it day in, day out, I think that's what's transformative. That's what's really valuable. And so my morning goes something like that. And then, I get to work and it's really, I realize more and more so that it's important to get the most important tasks out of the way, first, because your energy is stronger in the morning, before you get fatigued later in the day. And yeah, so instead of just getting up and, getting to work and then going through all the emails and all the social media and everything, scrambling my brain with all of the messaging all around or whatever, I realize it's much more impactful to take charge and again, continue owning the day by getting the most important tasks done. I'm always at home with my wife and my son. And of course, my son being 8 months old at the time of recording this podcast, he certainly demands a lot of attention. So I'm kind of always on call in a way to go and look after him. But again, another big thing that's infused into all of this is that at first, getting used to being a father, which I absolutely love, by the way, it was a challenge because I was used to working all the time, 14, 16 hours every minute of the day, really, just focused on work. So to have, obviously, a baby that requires so much time and attention and, of course, Maria needs me to take him to give her a break, sometimes. And, when I'm still trying to get loads of things done, it becomes stressful and it spreads you thin and, makes a mess. And so by disengaging with that and just choosing to just be with my son and kind of shut off work for that time and break away from it, it has also allowed me to just be more productive and impactful with how I spend my energy. Now, obviously, my son isn't too much of a conversationalist right now. So what I've been doing is I've been reading tons and tons of books. And by reading, I mean listening to audiobooks. Clearly, I'm a audio-centric kind of person because, I work in music and have always been listening to things to learn. Like, suits me a lot better than sitting and reading a book because, I just struggle to focus for a long period of time that way. So audiobooks are absolutely fantastic. And that means that, as I mentioned about my morning routine, when I'm getting up, when I'm running, when I'm just like doing the chores and washing dishes and stuff, I'm always listening to these audiobooks. And in this time that I spend looking after my son, I always have an audiobook going. And it means that I'm always like hands-on with my son because he's tumbling all around the shop and I need to make sure he doesn't hurt himself. But obviously I can just have, the phone or whatever on the side and it's just playing out the audiobook. Of course, as well, like all of these in-between moments where perhaps by nature we might be compulsed to browse social media or whatever. I normally switch the audiobook back on, when in those little moments that you might otherwise lose, it allows me to make a bit more progress in a book. And in doing that, I mean, I don't know how many books I've read. It ends up being between like an hour to maybe even 4 hours of a day. And that means that, I can read a book depending on its length. I can go through it in, a day or two, maybe a few days, at least a couple books a week. I think that I've gone through about 15 different books in the last month or two. And again, that has also been transformative because not only am I learning so much, which is, of incredible value, of course, it also, for me, just acts as a kind of positive mantra because when I say books, for the most part, I'm listening to, kind of personal development type books or, business books or things, as I say, that are educational. It's predominantly non-fiction. And now a lot of these things, they say very similar messages, but by coming back to that day in, day out, like that for me has actually like helped me integrate that. It's not just a theory. It's not just some words when it's kind of a vibration that I put myself on day in and day out. And again, it's the kind of thing that like, all right, maybe, you do it once or you do it for a week or whatever, and you don't notice much difference or whatever. But once you've been doing that for some months, I feel like it really compounds. And one thing that I heard is about like your ratio of education to entertainment, and it's almost like it's an information diet in a way that you can think about it. And so you can think about entertainment in a way as kind of like some junk food or some pleasure food or desserts, whatnot. And so it's good and it's enjoyable and it's nice to have some of. But obviously, if your entire diet is that, you're not going to be very well. And of course, education is it's more enriching content. It's healthy, nutritious food for the brain. So yeah, that kind of stuck with me, and I already was not spending too much time, watching too many movies or series and things. But we were doing some of that, and I must admit, whilst it's cool to relax and whatnot, I just found for myself personally, by putting myself on this diet in a way of like a very regular kind of abundant stream of really positive educational content, and a really kind of minimal stream of just sort of mind-numbing entertainment, just for the sake of kind of passing the time or whatever. Again, that's just contributed to a much better kind of state of being that I have been enjoying in these times. In regards to the rest of my day, I normally get to lunchtime, and after lunch, I often I like to smoke a tobacco pipe, and that's my little time out in a way, my little kind of break. When I say that, it's not so much a break in the I normally use that time to go on social media and to connect with people and to make posts and do things that I can do from my phone. Plan the rest of my afternoon, make sure I'm on track, that kind of thing. I do that whilst chilling out with a pipe, and that's cool. For somebody that used to smoke tons of cigarettes and drink loads of booze and all of that stuff, like it's a much kind of much healthier trade-off, I think. And I don't, for those that don't know, you don't inhale smoke from a tobacco pipe, so it's really not unhealthy in the way that cigarettes are. But alas, that's my thing that I enjoy. I kind of calibrate myself there. After lunch, it kind of gives me a little pick-me-up, and I work out what I'm going to do for the rest of the afternoon. And then I make the afternoon as productive as I can. Towards the end of the day, I obviously, take a look at my tasks and assess, what I've achieved, and set up my day for tomorrow, or how I'm going to kind of be breaking down tasks going forward. And then in the evening, like often, having dinner and bathing my son, and tending to kind of family things there, maybe squeezing in a bit more work or prep or whatever in between. And that's what my life looks like at the moment, but I'm honestly really happy with it, in a way that I have never been before, even though I kind of indulge myself significantly less, in regards to entertainment or other means. Like, from doing that, and even from making the kind of harder decisions and doing stuff that you might have resistance to doing, like exercising and meditating and getting up early and all of these things, working lots, by making those decisions, I just set myself up to win the day every day, and the compound effect is just significant. And so that's just what I've been experiencing recently. I don't know if you wanted to hear that or not, but like I hope that that's interesting to some people, whether you're just interested in terms of insight, or you could find value in that for yourself. If you ever want to reach out and talk about this kind of thing as well, like I'm happy to. I'm kind of passionate about these things in a way, or books, especially in this like personal development field and business and stuff that's just really enlightening and educational. Like, I love that stuff. If you want recommendations, then hit me up, or if you want to give me recommendations, then definitely hit me up. I'm always looking for new stuff. So that's just a little bit about where I'm at now in my day-to-day kind of personal life, and how I'm setting myself up for success going forward with all of this really exciting rebrand and launch of this new era with LovAnaverse and Love Anarchy. There's a bunch more stuff coming as well, and so much really that I can talk about, but those are all the main things that I wanted to speak about today. And I hope that these things have pricked your interest, at least something there. And I hope that you're excited to see what we have to come, especially from the LovAnaverse, because I am so kind of uniquely proud of this next release that we have coming. And from the release of this podcast episode, at least, this weekend is going to begin. And yeah, what can I say? I'll see you on the other side of that. Please always just reach out to me and, keep living your best life. Thank you for listening to this episode of Creating a Universe. I really hope you enjoyed the new LovAnaverse announcements, as well as getting a bit more of an insight into my personal life at the moment. I'm super excited about what's to come over the next few weeks and couldn't be more glad to have you along for the journey. This is the beginning of a new era, and I'm honored to have you by my side. Please feel free to reach out to me on Instagram at William J. Rogers Music. From there, you can find the pages for LovAnaverse, Love Anarchy, and each of the different artists. It's an especially exciting time with all that's about to occur. That's all for this episode. Remember, this Friday, on July 22nd, the campaign for a new LovAnaverse artist will begin. I'll see you there.